So look, last time I did this shit, the video ended up being like 30 minutes long. I'm gonna try my absolute best to not let that happen again, but yeah, fuck it, let's run it. Saints Cardinals, the Thursday night game. This game was actually good as hell. I mean, the Saints looked great up until Dalton decided to throw 17 pick sixes in a span of 17 seconds. Tracy McGrady numbers. Arizona is a 9-8, 8-9 team, and that's it. And here's why. Okay, at first I look defensively. This defense is Swiss cheese. Mid as fuck. They show up some plays, they don't on other plays. And I know you're thinking, well, they forced 3 interceptions or whatever. Nah, bro. Watch the game. The Saints had absolutely no problem moving the ball with a backup quarterback and backup wide receivers. But I don't want to say the defense is like complete garbage, because they came out with a great game plan against Philly, but they still let up 20 points, and that's kind of telling because they came out with arguably the best game plan anybody has for Philly this season. And I've said it before, like, if you're not going to be a solid defense, lockdown defense, you got to force turnovers and vice versa. And they were able to force turnovers tonight, and it ultimately won them the game. So you got to give them credit where credit's due. Both defenses were disappointing, actually. If New Orleans doesn't get like instant pressure, their secondary hasn't been able to really hold up for too long this year, especially as of late, which sucks because, like, at first I think it was just because of the lack of offensive production, but now the offense is producing in some way, shape, or form, and it seems like the defense is starting to underperform just a little bit. Still definitely a good defense, certainly a top 10 unit, but I think a few weeks ago I called them a top 3 unit. I don't think so. Lions Cowboys, this was definitely an interesting game. I'm gonna give Dak the benefit of the doubt, right, that it was his first game back, because it didn't look great, but this was a very good team win, I will say. Like, they won on offense, defense, and special teams, mainly the second two. Lions, you got to put the ball in the end zone when you get to the red zone against good teams like the Cowboys, but great red zone defense by Dallas this whole game. And like I said, offensively, definitely not the way you want it to look down the stretch, but I mean, look, we all know that Detroit is a capable team at this point. These are the trap games that you need to win in order to be a good team, especially in what is now a competitive NFC East. Weird, right? Detroit actually didn't have as much of a problem moving the football as you would have thought. They were just awful situationally. I mean, like, bad, and that usually points to coaching, but I'll give Dan Campbell the benefit of the doubt. Let's just say that the Lions, they remembered they were the Lions, okay? The Bengals really, and I mean really, needed that win over the Falcons. And I mean, look, you look at the game last week against the Saints, a win is a win by any means whatsoever, even in comeback fashion in a close game like that. But when you're an offensive team, a pass-happy team, an explosive team like Cincinnati, what they made their worth on last year, right? And it hasn't looked the same, and now you're having to find other ways to win, and it's just not good. These are the games, these offensive explosions against, you know, teams that you should beat, but nonetheless, it happens, right? You hang 35 and blow a team out, right? These are the games that help teams find their stride over the course of the season. And this is why I hate when people count out proven teams that have already done it, and they bring back the same core or a better core. Like when the Chiefs started off slow last year and they're like, oh, Kansas City, I'm like, are you serious, bro? They ended up making it to the AFC Championship. Should have fucking known, bozos. I'm not even gonna hold you. The Bengals actually do have like a solid ass defense. Like, it's nothing crazy, but it's like, it's the type of shit you want when you have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon run offense on the other side. And Atlanta was like, I already knew Atlanta was a better team than their record coming. They were a better team than their record last year, and I knew they were going to be the same thing this year. And now their record is like, at least, they're not terrific, but they're 3-4, right? Like, it's a respectable record at this point in the season. They would be a much better team if their defense was disciplined, not even just better, but disciplined. I mean, they're missing a lot on the defensive end personnel-wise, but their defense has no discipline. And quite frankly, a lot of times their offense doesn't have much discipline. And like, we've seen that their offense and run game and whatnot can be productive, and they have weapons. And I will say Mariota's a okay quarterback, but he's kind of scary, so that's also a problem. Browns at Ravens. After last week's game against New York, my expectations for Baltimore completely flew out the window. I was hyped going into every week knowing that we should win the games, but we've been losing, and we tried to do it again, but we were saved by a few different factors. We had another double-digit lead and only ended up winning by 3, but it's all good, man. I'm happy that we were able to just play power football and run the ball, and they weren't able to really do much about it. 44 carries for 160 yards, and both of our touchdowns came from Gus Bus, who looked great. That thumper back that we were missing. You know, that I'll take that every week. The passing offense has some problems. We have no weapons on the outside, and it's very visible. And if you take Mark Andrews out of the game, which is very easy to take a tight end out, then yeah, that's a problem. But you know, I expect Bateman to only get more and more accustomed throughout the year. Not to say that it's gonna fix everything, but it should get better. And we really Baltimore should make a move for a receiver like Judy or DJ Moore. One of those guys should end up on our team, but we'll see. Only thing I really gotta say about the defense is y'all gotta learn how to tackle, man. Like, our defense is soft. That Raven physicality we used to have is gone, man. Hit Chubb's legs, bro. You can't hit dudes high in this league, bro. You're gonna get exposed. Get that Earl Thomas special. But as far as the Browns, man, I mean, this was just a battle of the stupid ass coaching staff. Stefanski, man, I don't know. You an ass coach. That's the bottom line of it. Because Brissett played good, your defense played respectable, and you still lost. And it really, I know it was a 3-point game, but it frankly shouldn't have been. And that just points to situational football, which is usually our problem. So I feel you on that. But I think there was a graphic at some point toward the end of the fourth quarter, like 4 minutes or so left. I could be wrong on the time, but it was sometime late in the second half that said the Browns hadn't picked up. They were like 0 for 7 on third downs up to that point. And that's the issue. There's two problems with the Buccaneers, right? They obviously can't run the ball. That's the main problem, okay? They of course, Brady-led teams, they want to be able to run the ball. They want to establish the run, but they do it strategically and situationally in a sense that it's like, you know, obviously they're going to have a good O-line, but they're going to figure out how to run the ball with whoever's back there. But obviously they have failed to this year, and they're lacking that, and it seems as though they're lacking some kind of speed threat on their offense, a lethal speed threat. But I mean, don't count out the Buccaneers. They might not be good enough to run back a championship, but they'll make the playoffs. They'll probably win their division, etc., etc. A few uncharacteristic drops from Mike Evans, especially that over-the-top ball where he had all that separation. But it is what it is, man. A loss is a loss, and I mean, it wasn't like it was a particularly close one. They got shut down, and respect to PJ Walker for game managing. You know, didn't turn the ball over, and you know, that's all you can ask for. Yeah, so good win for the Panthers. They can't even tank right. God damn it. Ooh, Giants Jaguars. This was a good game. I knew it was going to be a good game coming in. I took the Jaguars. No salt. I promise. No salt. My whole mom's side of my family is Giants fans, so I rock with them. Yeah, and the Giants squeeze it out. They're going to be a playoff team, a wild card team. That's I'll leave it at that, okay? And Jacksonville is a team that's better than their record. I stand on it. I was very high on Jacksonville after the first few games of the season, and I remain high on them. I still think that they're a team that can beat anybody in this league, but they can also lose to anybody in this league. That partially has to do with their youth, the freshness of this core. But you can see that what coaching is a very important thing in this sport, and Doug Peterson, I think he's a perfect fit for what they're trying to do in Jacksonville, and I love the way, like, the philosophy he's taking in doing so. And I think that next year, if they can continue to acquire, you know, better personnel throughout their entire roster, they'll be able to make some noise with what they got going on. And back to the Giants, you know, the defense has continued to play great, but Daniel Jones is getting better every week, man. And that's the one thing about this team that is like, okay, they got something going on here, is that Daniel Jones is getting better every week. And then if he's able to use his legs like this, like a true dual threat like he was today, with Saquon in the backfield, that's you can really work off of that, you know, and do something serious. Oh my goodness, Green Bay, y'all ass. I mean, let's just clear the air right now. Get it out. You need a receiver. You need receivers. Your core isn't good enough to win you games down the stretch, and like when you can't run the ball, you're seeing what's happening is that this offense is just extremely stagnant. Everything is underneath. They can't get anything going. This is a Commanders pass defense that has been atrocious all year, and you still struggled. That's a problem. And I think what Aaron Rodgers is the best at is like developing timing with his receivers, right? But you need a wide receiver one, like a true wide receiver one. I think every team in the league needs one, right? Ravens. But what? Who? But yeah, there's nobody on this receiving core that Aaron Rodgers trusts remotely to throw the ball to, like in a 50-50 situation, like the ones that you have to complete when you're a pass first offense. That's a problem. Aaron Jones had the most targets on the team, and they were all checkdowns. They were all help me throws. And yeah, man, get this man some help or he's gonna leave you. Oh yeah, the Commanders have something in Brian Robinson Jr. for sure. I really like his tenacity, his grit, all of that. And it really didn't look much different with Taylor Heineke. Actually, I think they would have won the game by more if Carson Wentz was in there. So good sign, I guess. I think this game says more about the Packers than the Commanders. Last 1 o'clock game, Colts at Titans. Titans defense continues to be impressive. And they continue to ride behind that. A vintage Derrick Henry 30 carries, 128 game, game managing, running the football. Tannehill did virtually nothing. But on the flip side, Indianapolis, how the hell were you a 3-2-1 team to begin with? Look, I can point to another number of things. Offensive line, play calling. Matt Ryan just isn't enough of a do-it-all quarterback to take the game over when you need him to. But does someone want to tell me why Jonathan Taylor only ran the ball 10 times when he was averaging 5.8 yards per carry? I mean, look. I understand, like, it's not vintage Jonathan Taylor, or when I say vintage, I mean last year. And the offensive line is a big, you can point to that a lot, but part of running the football is situational. Look at the Titans. I mean, Derrick Henry wasn't really doing crazy amounts of damage, but they were still pounding with Derrick Henry, waiting. Not bend, don't break, but the opposite. You're trying to just wear a defense out over the course of a game. That's what running the football does, and they're just putting it in the hands of Matt Ryan for whatever reason, who at this point is a game manager, Kirk Cousins type guy. Look, man, you don't have the weapons on the outside. Like Pittman is good. Paris Campbell looked pretty good. Nah, man, the Colts. I don't trust this team. Defense isn't bad, but this is not an explosive Titans offense. But I gotta say, man, I'm impressed with the way the Titans have managed games, have played situational football this year after that week 1 loss to the Giants, which turns out to not be as bad of a loss as people might have thought. They've stepped it up. Of course, they got blown out by the Bills, but I mean, look, man, you're 4-2, and that's all you can ask for. Jets Broncos went exactly how I expected it to go. I know you're thinking, well, the Jets just hung 40. Their offenses look pretty good. Nah, man, I knew this was going to be a defensive game because that Broncos defense is serious, man. And of course, we know what's going on with Denver's offense. Obviously, now they don't even have Russell Wilson, although Brett ain't look too much worse, if we're being honest, just based off of this season. Breece Hall is a problem, man. He's gonna be different for some years to come. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not a big drafting running backs type guy, but yeah, this guy they got something in Mr. Breece Hall. Of course, Sauce Gardner on the other side too. I like that Jets defense, man. That Jets defense, that's just tough. Both these teams' defenses I really like. I like personnel wise and what they do as far as scheme. Maybe not as much the Jets defense. I like the Broncos defense scheme a lot. Obviously, the Broncos have a lot of issues that they'll have to wait to figure out until Russell Wilson comes back, which should be next week. On the other side, the Jets, hey man, you're 5-2. Everything's good. Enjoy it. You're winning games. The only thing you really have to monitor for this team is the play of Zach Wilson. Is he continuing to grow? Because he was shaky. He was very shaky. I mean, the Jets offense was not good at all this game. Fucking shit. But they got New England, then Buffalo, then New England again. So we'll see how they do in that divisional stretch there. Good tests, so we'll see. Definitely curious to see how New England and New York stack up with one another at this point in the year. I said that like at the beginning of the season that New York was evidently a better team than New England. We'll find out. I'm actually recording this part before the Monday night game, so it's hard for me to really say. It depends on how New England looks against Chicago tonight, but yeah. Josh Jacobs is him, bro. I should have known after he carved up that Broncos defense, bro. But I was like, okay, the Chiefs game, they don't have a good run. Nah, this guy's a problem, bro, like, because the lanes, like, weren't even, like, they were there on the outside, but, like, in terms of inside running, he was making cuts, like, making something out of nothing. Like, yeah, this guy's a dog. And it came at a very necessary time for Vegas, obviously them being 1-4 and all. But here's the question, right? Is if and when, right, some team is able to take away Josh Jacobs or at least limit them, is this passing offense going to be good enough to counteract that? Because look, I mean, you have Devontae, you have a great receiving core, so theoretically you should be, and based off the way they played tonight, they could have passed the ball all game and still won. But it's Houston. Now, I don't think Houston's defense is necessarily hot garbage, but they're not a top defense by any means. Vegas's defense is still criminally mid. I mean, nah, I'm not rocking with it. Obviously, they had a big interception, but Houston. Damian Pierce is a problem, of course, yeah, if you didn't figure that one out. And Davis Mills made some big time throws. He just, that pick six was really, that was the big one. I love Geno Smith and I hate the Chargers. Not really because I like the Chargers as a team. I like Justin Herbert. I like all their weapons. I like them as an organization, but they're pissing me off. Seen enough. Their run defense is horrendous, and for whatever stupid fucking reason, these motherfuckers can't figure out how to use their receivers on the outside. Like, you have Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. We saw it last year, bro. Like, why is Austin Eckler the only person that Justin Herbert knows how to throw the fucking ball to? Fire Staley. This year has been the year of the coach. If you have a good coach, you've been a good team aside from Pittsburgh. And if you have a mid or bad coach, you've been a mid or bad team. And some teams are good with mid coaches that good with bad coaches that makes them a mid team. That's the Chargers. And on the flip side, Pete Carroll's got these motherfuckers hooping. He's got them balling. But back to LA, because I'm taking more away from them in this game. Bro, your run defense is so bad, and every single week I watch it get carved up, and whoever's going against the Chargers defense has a day on. Dude, they can't stop the run. Look at Kenneth Walker, he went stupid. And don't get it twisted, Rook a problem. Like, let's just get that out the air right now. I'm stuttering like a motherfucker. But yo, this defense is tiny. They signed these pass pro names, these old ass names, right? J.C. Jackson is some prayers up, but he's some garbage, nigga. He's some ass. Oh man, coaching. Man, Seahawks are playing with confidence, and that's the big thing, and they can beat anybody in this league because of that. But they're also still like a bad enough roster to lose to anybody in this league. So credit them. I'm rooting for the Seahawks all the way. Obviously a great underdog story, but yeah, we'll see what happens. The Bills done pissed off the Chiefs, bro. Those motherfuckers were cooking, yo. This is why, like, as much as I have to have beef with the Chiefs because they're a top team in the AFC and they've been beating our ass for the past 5 years, man, Andy Reid, Pat, man, these boys are good, bro. Like, these motherfuckers using everybody in every way possible and just make the 49ers defense look lost out there. And it's like, you're there, but you're not there because it's just nothing you can do. These motherfuckers do not know what field goals are, bro. If you let them in the red zone, they're going to score. And that's the difference maker of them versus every other team. That's why they're so damn good. Good is Mahomes gets down there and he puts the ball in the end zone. Except for against the Bills, but you get what I mean. And against the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. But I look, man, I credit Mahomes for the explosiveness of the offense. I credit Andy Reid for their success in the red zone and at the goal line, man. Niners, don't worry, you'll be a playoff team. You'll get it going a little bit more with McCaffrey, and you'll be spooky. Okay, obviously the play of Jimmy G, it determines a lot. And I thought the Chiefs defense stepped up, but there were plays where I was like, that's just a Jimmy problem, and it definitely is a Jimmy problem sometimes, but we'll see how much it affects your season. I mean, this is a really good Chiefs team that beats up on a lot of people, so it's not something to hang your head on too much. But like, I don't know if you guys are Super Bowl contenders. You'll be in the playoffs though. You'll be able to determine your own fate. And to conclude our Sunday presentation of football, we had the Steelers versus the Dolphins, and there were a lot of good things to say about both teams in the first half, and a lot of bad things to say about both teams in the second half. The offense is back to normal with Tua, and it is. It really does look a lot different with Tua back there, but you gotta be able to convert, bro. And I saw a lot of times last night where I was like, Miami, how the hell did you manage to fuck that up and not get a touchdown on this drive? But look, man, you won the game. You also could tell McDaniel was not trying to put Tua in any situation to like get him hurt in that second half. And then in the first half, I was like, Pittsburgh's offense got a little bit of a stride now. They're figuring something out here. They're moving the ball, and maybe it's kind of true, but you got a rook. You can't turn the ball over. That's the bottom line. Honestly, they didn't really have too many major issues moving the ball, like in terms of like the looks were there. And part of that, I think this Dolphins defense, I know they goose egged in the second half. Both defenses did, okay, but I don't trust this Dolphins defense at all. I don't know what it is. They're missing something. That's the sacrifice of. Let's be real. That's the sacrifice of losing Brian Flores, gaining Mike McDaniel. Your defense gets worse, your offense gets better, right? And that coaching. But more importantly, they're back in the W column with a big win. They needed that one, obviously, after they've had the Tua injury, of course, but and Teddy, but losing 3 straight anytime is just. It sucks, right? So to be able to take this game, not a pretty one, but these are the ones, the trap games that you need to go out and win. And for Pittsburgh, that was a game they needed if they wanted to, have any chance, like take that Buccaneers game and use it as momentum to maybe actually become a competent team. They needed this one because the Dolphins didn't play particularly amazing, and they weren't able to capitalize on it. Whoa, this Monday night game was kind of crazy. We got a lot to take away from this. So Mac Jones came back, started, and then he got benched, and then we said, oh, okay, Bailey Zappi is better than Mac Jones, and then he started throwing picks and being bad, and then Justin Fields didn't play bad, and the Bears defense went crazy, but the Bears offense was doing well, and they were moving. Yeah, it was so much. I honestly don't think it's a terrible problem to have if you're New England. Like, yeah, both the guys underperformed at the end of the day, but you've seen flashes from both of them, and like you have a situation where it's like you don't know who your guy is, but you also trust both those guys in under center. I love that this week we got to see, or more recently, we're getting to see all the offenses that really struggled at the beginning of the year, like the Saints and the Bears, finally start to actually get going and figure out how to move the ball. Justin Fields needs to figure it out this year. I said a few weeks ago, my last takeaways video when we covered the Bears, that there comes a point where the excuses run out for Justin Fields, and that the fact that he's showing no improvement has to go further than bad play calling and poor offensive and personnel and whatnot. So for him to step up to this challenge on primetime against a defense that I believe has been underwhelming, like I'm upset, especially after last night, but regardless, for Fields to step up and put together a very good dual threat game, not be afraid to use your legs and make them honor that and use that to really help out your passing game. I mean, that's a job well done, if you ask me. But you have to continue, not just continue to play at this level, but you have to continue to build off it, especially as a young guy, because there's no time to wait for Fields to get into year 4 and year 5 and so on and really start to figure it out. We gotta get this thing moving now. And like I said, the offensive expectations aren't massive, but I mean the defense is just disappointing. New England, you bozo. But yeah, it's gonna be really hard for me to keep these videos away from the 30-minute mark. I'll try. I can't see the time on this one. I think it's around probably closer to 25, maybe a little bit less. Not terrible, but I'm gonna keep trying, man. And I gotta have substance about each team. I can't just say good win next team. So yeah, man, work with me. It might just have to be that way. I'll see you on the next one.